19 years. I've been on air 20. She works tirelessly, even back at the time when I was only on one FM station here in Austin. She would come on the broadcast a few times a year to promote the ideas of liberty. And it was 50 years ago this year that she published her best-selling book, A Choice, Not an Echo. And that's being republished now. We'll give you details of that information, but PhyllisSchlafly.com, EagleForum.org. You can also find some of her work at WND.com. She's been a national leader of the conservative movement since the publication of her best-selling book, A Choice, Not an Echo. She's a constitutional lawyer and a lot more. I'm not going to try to get into everything that she's been involved in, but she served as a member of the Commission on the Bicentennial of the U.S. Constitution. Appointed by President Reagan, she has testified before more than 50 congressional and state legislative committees on constitutional, national defense, and family issues. And if somebody like Ron Paul, you could say, is the kind of father of the libertarian constitutional movement, Phyllis Schlafly is like the mother of the constitutionalist liberty movement. And we would be in deep trouble without her. If you read her work going back over 55 years, almost all of it has turned out to be extremely accurate. And she's got a syndicated column as well, the Phyllis Schlafly Report, that's in over 100 newspapers. She's got her daily radio commentaries on over 600 stations. And she's got Eagle Forum Live on over 90 stations, and also heard over the internet. So be sure and go to PhyllisSchlafly.com, EagleForum.org. She understands, like Charlton Heston did and so many others. This is a full-on war. And I'll play the clip later for her. I discussed it a lot in the last hour. I played the clip of Ezekiel Emanuel last year admitting they want to wreck health care in America, basically Cloward and Piven. That's the socialist plan. But the new clip of one of the chief architects, Jonathan Gruber, heading up Obama's Economic Commission advising on Obamacare, saying that they lied to the public with lack of transparency being key to fooling stupid Americans and stupid voters. And he was there teaching other academic media how to lie. And it's just simply incredible that they say they have the moral high ground. Everything they do wrecks things but gives them more power. And then they admit that they lie and deceive and cheat, and death panels now. Bill Gates admits that. I want to say that low-level leftists mean well or want a free lunch. It varies. But at the top, these are not leftists. These are deranged control freaks, more akin to what you saw in the French Revolution. The only behavior I've seen like this is in the French Revolution. If you study the degeneracy of the Jacobins and others. I don't want to go into a history lesson here. Phyllis Schlafly joins us. Thank you so much. I know you want to get into 2014 elections, what you think that really signified, the landscape. Is it a big political realignment? I certainly think so. Can we defeat the establishment Republicans that'll try to play ball with the same crony capitalist? Looking forward at 2016, what do you see in your crystal ball? We'll discuss it all today and the republishing of your book, Phyllis. But first off, we commend your 55 years of work for liberty. And we'd like to get your take on my little rant discussing the arrogance that we're seeing out of the so-called left right now. How would you characterize the mental state of these people?
Well, thank you for all the kind words you said, Alex. It's good to be on with you. And you are right, and they deserve a rant because they have really brought this country down the wrong path, and the majority of Americans admitted we're going in the wrong way. And I think what they really want is power and money, our money, and they want to make sure that the government has control and makes the decisions for us. When I grew up, I guess it was years before you grew up, but we had a country of middle-class families who had intact nuclear families. That is, the mother and father were married to each other and raising their own children in one household. And now that's just the minority of people in our country. But the nuclear family was the self-contained economic unit. They spent their own money, made their own decisions, decided how they were going to raise their children. And now we don't have that anymore. And you find the liberals who want to give us government control of everything. You know, this speech that Obama made up in Rhode Island a couple of weeks ago, which he said we just shouldn't allow women to have the choice, he used the word choice, of taking care of their own children or being in the workforce. Because we want them to be in the workforce so they pay more taxes so we can provide them with government child care and raise their children.
And so first they sell the idea that a woman's not worthy if she doesn't have some job paying all these taxes. And great, if a woman wants a career, go be a constitutional lawyer, change the world like you've done, more power to them. If a man wants to stay home with the kids, more power to him, or wants to go out and work in a factory or build a factory. I mean, that's free will. But the demonization of a maternal role, and then now saying women just shouldn't have the choice. They should be made to go out into the system and let the state raise the children. That's what MSNBC has been saying in promos now for 2 years. Every week promos they're saying your kids belong to the state. They're really coming out of the closet, aren't they?
They certainly are. And, of course, when you go in the workforce, you're going to pay taxes, and that's going to give these bureaucrats more of your money to spend and tell you how to spend it.
Here's Melissa Harris Perry in a MSNBC promo saying that we got to get past the idea that your kids belong to you.
So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
Well, that's real straight to left-wing heresy, yes. It's just absolutely wrong. Everything we know means children do better when they're raised by their own parents. In fact, we poured all this money into public schools in an attempt to close the gap, those are the magic words, between the high-achieving and the low-achieving students. And they used to think the real cause of the gap was poverty. And now recent research shows it's really not poverty. It's whether or not the kids are raised by their own mother and father. And those who are going to do better in school.
And, of course, they knew that in the social engineering, and that's why they've worked as hard as they can to break up the family. They know full well what they're doing. It's premeditated. What do you make of more and more Democrats and leftists coming out and admitting they lie and admitting they deceive and admitting they want to wreck the economy so they can be in control? I mean, for me, that is criminal fraud to have people involved in Obamacare coming out and saying we lied to Congress, we lied to the public. I mean, that's just outrageous.
Well, this case that the Supreme Court has just taken, it's really pretty funny. It's about Obamacare. And when the Obamacare said that you only got the subsidies if your exchange was set up by the state. The words are very clear. They're not equivocal at all. And they want people to, but most of the states didn't sign up for it. And so the people want to get the subsidies anyway. And they're trying to get the Supreme Court to rewrite the legislation. Now, our Constitution says all legislative powers in the Congress. It's very clear. There's nothing equivocal about it. And the Supreme Court is going to take that case, and the question is, are they going to stick to the way it was written, or are they going to rewrite it?
Well, there's a real power struggle in American intelligentsia and the elites itself. For so long, the Republican blue bloods have worked with the left in this radical transformation. Now that we see that it's designed to wreck the country and fold us into global government, a lot of elites who aren't completely criminal are now trying to put the brakes on things. I know you have a lot of high-level contacts inside the system. Do you think that's an accurate statement, that there is a serious relooking at things inside of the establishment, and that a lot of people are realizing that we better turn back now?
Well, I don't see much evidence that it's the establishment, the big boys, the Chamber of Commerce types, who are rethinking it because they like it when we bring in cheap labor so they can raise their stock prices, value can go up. But I think the American people are catching on, that most of the people who are coming in are willing to work for lower wages. And they were asking me to comment on these states that passed the minimum wage law in the other day. But it's not the actual amount of the wage that is attracting them. The ones These people who come in are willing to work for much lower than the minimum wage.
And they genuinely also get welfare on the side as a supplement.
Yes, they certainly do. That's right. And so I think the American people are waking up, and the big question now is, are we going to let Obama get by with his executive amnesty, which is he wants to bring in more cheap labor, and of course he's bringing in all these diseases. We've got the children dying with this new kind of a TB disease that's being brought in by these unaccompanied minors who are coming in and trying to go into our schools. And
our children are being sacrificed, regardless of what color, on the altar of globalism. That's why they couldn't control the borders or planes with Ebola, because they don't want to ever send the message that having a border might be something you might want to have. Phyllis Schlafly, stay there. We're going to come back, and I want to get into 2014. How big of a wake-up was it? 2016, Obama's executive power grab. Will the Republican establishment try to block it? But I want to agree with you. It's the grassroots that's waking up. Not even so much the elite, but I am seeing a lot of signs that there are a lot of people in the establishment that do see now that we're coming to the end of the road and that globalism is not really a good idea. And so they may want to change sides, basically, right here at the end so they don't get the blame. We'll be right back. Stay with us. So I want to just give her the floor right now to get into her view on 2014 election. What does it really mean? What does she see looking forward into 2016? What are the big issues? Phyllis?
Well, the big issue in the 2014 election was the Republicans getting control of the Senate so they can stop Obama from putting any other judge on the Supreme Court. If he put one more justice on the Supreme Court, I think he would rule this country for the next 30 years. And I believe that the Republicans should make a decision that they are not going to confirm any more judges appointed by Obama, because he's already done quite an effective job of packing the federal court system with left-wing judges.
Sure. Shouldn't they block his the people he wants for the Attorney General?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they ought to have some fight in them. If the people spoke, and they should carry out the wish of the people. If Obama said his policies were all on the ballot, and okay, we'll accept that. They were, and the people rejected them.
That's right. The Democrats and Obama said this was basically a referendum. It was a major political realignment. I mean, the Democrats haven't been this weak since 1920. I mean, this really is a sign that they're in trouble.
It certainly is, and so it's a good omen for 2 years from now. And I hope that the Republicans can stay on the ball and be a fighter. Let's not have any of this talk about bipartisanship and trying to make a deal with them. Use our majority and restore some constitutional rules. The idea of letting Obama make new laws with executive amnesty and executive action is just unacceptable in a free country.
What's going to happen if Boehner and McConnell ride herd on the good Republicans? There's a lot of good ones in there, and they don't repeal Obamacare, or they let Obama sign a bunch of executive orders. What's the word you're getting? Are they planning to slap him down? Because Obama seems belligerent. He says he's going forward.
Yes, he is, and he seems to think that he's some kind of a king who can do whatever he wants, and they shouldn't let him get by with it. Of course, Congress has control of the money, and when he said he won't close our borders to people with Ebola, he wants $6 billion so he can set up a plan to stop Ebola in West Africa. Now, we didn't elect him for that, and Congress holds the purse strings. They shouldn't give him the money.
Wow.
You know, it doesn't make sense. And now one of the big issues that the Republicans are playing coy about is this new giving Obama fast track. Now that's giving him power that they never gave to Clinton or Bush or any of the previous presidents, which means they can go make a trade agreement in secret without consulting anybody, with bypassing Congress, and just make it. And it becomes a treaty with all the advantages and constitutional protection of a treaty.
And, of course, that's that Pacific Trade Partnership that's got 30 parts. Only one part's been leaked.